Hi everybody, I see that you guys finished 7.4.3. That was pretty good. And some of you guys are still finishing up. By the time you see this video, hopefully you are done. This actually has two study guides. So let's review. The unit 7 that you just completed had two study guides. Yes, I saw that. But both the study guides were the same. But in unit 5, there are two different study guides. And this particular presentation is only concentrating on the first one, 5.1.1. and you'll get 5.1.2 later on, and your quiz this week is 5.1.3. Okay, that's May 1st, that's due. So I did the same thing for you guys. I did the study guide, and I'm going to take a look into your content right now. Hopefully you watched the video on, I believe there was a second slide on this presentation on countries that are in two continents, Europe and Asia, and they combine called Eurasia, especially Southwest Asia. So we're going to look into 5.1.1. I'm just going over to that. I'm going to open this up and just take a look at it. Some highlights. I want you to hopefully read everything in 5.1.1. Defining Europe and Southwest Asia. Make sure this is the study guide that we're going to complete. If you click there, the same study guide will be on this presentation, okay? Also, some of the answers and some of the helpful information, they're in these little buttons that you guys are overlooking sometimes, so make sure you click on those, all right? One thing I wanted you guys to look into is considering Eurasia in the in focus, all right? The Anatolian Peninsula was on the second slide, and the Anatolian Peninsula is really what makes up Turkey, because Turkey was split at one time, but Turkey is considered part of Europe, all right, even though it's largely Islamic, okay? And then you have your Arabian Peninsula and your Middle East and Central Asia. So this is a lot of information, but you guys have already reviewed Asia, so you know a lot of those things. And Europe was your first geographic map. So in a sense, this is review, especially when talking about the European Union. So what you really want to focus in this chapter is not only the European Union for review, but you really want to be centered into the 5 themes of geography, okay? And that was discussed in the first and second slide: location, place, human environment, interaction, movement, and region, all right? So the in focus will help you understand what formal versus functional and informal areas and regions are in your reading, okay? Every time I click on those, it takes forever to load, so I'm gonna just go wait and go back if I have to, if it takes a little too long to load. All right, so make sure you look into that, and make sure you watch these videos. There's a lot of information, and notice that on some of these videos you have your clicks, your buttons that go from slide to slide. All right, so it's taking me to the next slide, of course, and it's talking, this of course will help you with the chart that we're going to look at in a minute, your graphic organizer that breaks down the 5 themes in Eurasia. Now when you go to the next unit, 5.1.2, it looks like the same information, but it's not, because the next one wants you to do the 5 themes of the Mediterranean. So they're different this time, unlike last unit, okay? I know that's confusing because you went all the way to unit 7. Now you got to jump all the way to unit back to unit 5, all right? So make sure you click on the bottom of these slides there, and it defines it, and it gives examples. Okay, sometimes we overlook that, especially the Silk Road. The Silk Road is 6th grade information, and we're going to look back into that today, okay? Nice maps, and if you take a look, they have everything broken down, okay? There's Anatolia, and that's that area that's right here. So you're looking at actually Turkey and like Saudi Arabia, those areas right there. That wasn't discussed, but it's discussed in this chapter. Make sure you read over it, and we'll look at it in the study guide. If you wonder why I'm going so fast, I only have a certain time frame I can talk to you guys, so I don't want to take up too much time. Hopefully you read into this and you're reading into this while we're going, but it says there's a lot going on between these two regions. That's Europe and Asia. You've only just gotten a brief taste so far. Take a few minutes to review some of what you learned, so it'll be easier to fit everything else in what's coming. So it says, answer these questions below to test your knowledge of what you read so far, even on that first review page where it just says Unit 5. It says, which of these accurately describes the climate? See what they're going for: geography, location, region, human environment, interaction, location, and movement. So which of these accurately describes the climate of Europe and Southwest Asia? It is very diverse from hot to cold, not tropical, not dry and desert-like, even though North Africa is. They want to know Europe and Southwest Asia. They said nothing about North Africa. So let's try very diverse and submit it. Goes on to the next. What areas did the Silk Road link? If you just think back, it says Russia and the Netherlands. No, we're talking two continents. Europe and Southwest Asia, Europe and the Middle East. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but we want to be a little bit more vast because all three of these areas are affiliated economically and governmentally, okay? And what religions dominate Europe, Southwest, and Southwest Asia? They didn't really say North Africa. So Islam and Buddhism. No, Buddhism would be more of Southeast Asia and South Asia, and Hinduism, so we know it's not that. Christianity, Islam, Judaism and Christianity, and Buddhism and Hinduism. Now, why wouldn't I say Judaism and Christianity and not Christianity and Islam? It's due to where they're asking: Europe and Southwest Asia. If they said Eastern Europe, then I would say Judaism and Christianity. But since they didn't, they just say Europe and Southwest Asia. And Southwest Asia is what area is connected to Southwest Asia and Europe. That would be more of Turkey, Russia, those areas there in the Mediterranean area. So I'm going to take a chance and say Christianity to Islam, and I got all three correct. Okay, so make sure you take advantage of those. All right, read this carefully. I know it's a lot of hard vocabulary. Take a look at your next quizzes. Make sure you pay attention to all of your definitions and terms, and make sure you go through all of these. I'm not going to do all of them for you, but I am going to take a look at your study guide, okay? So it says right now, before moving on, make sure you complete your study guide. So let's take a look, see if I can pull that up for you while I kind of minimize this. Let's push this all the way over. There we go. And I'm going to just open up your study guide and see if we can do a little review. So here, okay, back to our study guide. So we're looking at the 5 themes of geography, and make sure that you are looking into, see, this one's not the right one. I have 2 of them opened up. This is 5.1.2, but this actual one has 2 study guides. So we're going to look at 5.1.1 if it'll let me. So let's see if I can minimize this one and go to my 5.1. Let me see if I minimize everything else. There we are. So our location, place, the regions have 2 categories, even though we're still concentrating on 5. And then we have movement and human environment interaction. Here, location, you want to concentrate. Eurasia fills the entire half of our eastern hemisphere. So our hemispheres in our world, looking on a world map, is broken down into 4 hemispheres. We're concentrating on the easternmost hemisphere, and that would be over Asia and Russia. We are in the Western Hemisphere, which is North America. Place. Europe and Southwest Asia are considered the birthplace of Western civilization and culture. There are 3 main religions: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Get rid of that is. There are 6 sub-regions in Europe. The Europe that we're speaking of, we have Scandinavia, the Baltics, Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and the Balkans. The Balkan states are very mountainous, while Scandinavia would be a colder climate, and Baltic would be near the Baltic Seas. All right, 2 sub-regions. Southwest Asia has 3 sub-regions: Central Asia and the Middle East. I said 3, but Anatolia is considered part of what we call the Middle East, the Islamic states. And movement. All right, the Silk Road is going to be repeated at the end of this study guide. I'm going kind of slow so you can read it. You should be pausing it and reading it thoroughly, going over it once again. All right, and human environmental interactions. First man-made canal. You've done the Panama Canal. You wouldn't believe the same person that engineered the Panama Canal engineered the Suez Canal. He died when he sold the plans to Colombia, but he did live out the Suez Canal. It's a man-made canal, and it connects the Mediterranean, North Africa, and parts of Middle East, and has a waterway into the Indian Ocean from the Mediterranean. Okay, that's really interesting. So we studied the Panama Canal, that came second. The Suez Canal was the first. When I went to your in focus on the second page, I believe, in your unit, in your text, you want to click on those in focus and click on those transcripts. Sometimes they're the little yellow circles that kind of look like the study guide is in there too, but it's not more work. It's just giving you more information so you can fill these charts out. For example, it's asking explain the region definitions in the table below. This is interesting. Now the book gives you different for formal. I gave you the definition, and the text actually talks about Colorado, the state, and the Great Plains being formal areas. All right, I gave you Maryland and the Chesapeake Bay just to turn it around a little bit so we get a better understanding. Functional, the text gave you something else. I gave you Washington, D.C. All right, and I believe the text, yeah, they gave you New York City. And perceptual, this is the same information that came from the text. All right. And this says, why is it difficult to classify Russia and Turkey as either European or Asian? I did put this in your slide presentation as well, but I'm going to reiterate it here. There's no clear natural boundary between the two, and there's a large amount of cultural overlap wherever you think these two continents come together, such as language and religious differences. Okay. What are the largest countries in Europe? They had Ukraine and France. What is the largest country in Southwest Asia? Kazakhstan. They said it better than I did on your little video I found. But some of those are even challenging for me if I slow it down. Kazakhstan. Okay. Pakistan. There's all of those, but that's the one, the largest country in Southwest Asia. That's funny. And then what religions are most present in Europe and Southwest Asia? Here you go again. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. The Silk Road is reiterated from your top, the most top graphic organizer about the 5 themes of geography. And this is the same reiteration, so that you might want to commit that to memory. All right, retain is better than memorize, and we talked about that in class. When you retain it, you don't forget it. So studying this and rereading. A lot of you are asking me to reset, no problem, but you only get 2 times. So you have to read your study guides. And some of my students, I just don't do well. Just don't go straight to the quiz. Look at your study guide. Give yourselves a fighting chance. Read. This is why it's called social studies. You have to study, guys. You have to read before you take those quizzes. Number 8, what do countries in the European Union share? The EU. The nations of the European Union have a shared economy. All European states, all European countries. It's easy travel between the two. Remember, we talked about the Berlin Wall, East Berlin and West Berlin, and when the wall was torn down, then the migration became a little bit better, and the European Union came in and helped create the most important fact, a single common currency. That means all around Europe, they can use the same type of money, the euro. Number 9, what is the economic status of the European Union? It's supposed to be the most powerful economic unit on earth. So I'm just going to go back up, and I know you guys are pausing and going, but I'm just going to scroll as slowly as I can. And on the next study guide, it won't be as easy. I'll probably just place page numbers that you can find the information, so that you guys can start reading a little bit more carefully and get, do well on your exams and take accountability. Remember, trust no one's information but your own. All right, I did this one for you, and then the next one, try to get a little bit more independent. And as we go on through the school year, I'm going to continue doing the same thing, especially if it has 28 plus questions. I will help out, but doing the whole thing for you, not after next week. Okay? I hope you guys do well. My time is almost up. I only have 15 minutes, but at 14:35. See you later.